Let's talk about the challenges
Yeah.
of ADUs.
Let's start with the key to having your unit get approved quickly.
Well, yeah, and talk about that because I'm always like, well, you just met with building and safety. So, like, aren't we good? They said
Yeah.
that. And you're like, no,
Yeah.
Marissa, no, we're not.
Yeah.
There's all these other things I have to go through.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Ladders and Leverage Podcast, where we discuss real estate investing, building wealth, and creating a better life for you and your family. I'm Danny Lampert, alongside with my wife, business partner, Marissa Buss. We've dedicated our lives to achieving financial freedom and want to help you do the same. So in each episode, you'll hear real-world investors who've been handpicked by us to share their insights, and we'll explore the strategies that they use to build their wealth in real estate. Today, you just have Marissa and I. We are going to be talking about ADUs and accessory dwelling units, one of our favorites, and why they're one of the smartest plays in California real estate right now. Whether you own a single family home or invest in multifamily properties, this could change your income, your property value, and your retirement plan. So, what was once buried in red tape by the state of California is now a play that everyone can use. And if you're not building ADUs, you are already behind. The laws have flipped for the investors in favor of the investors, and now the path is wide open for homeowners and investors. Welcome to our show. Hi, Marissa Buss.
Hi, welcome, Danny Lampert.
Thank you. Well, excited to share everything that we've learned in our journey building ADUs.
Yes, I'm excited to be here with you, interviewing you today, Senor Lampert. So, ADUs. Okay. So we weren't exactly ready to do ADUs and weren't even thinking about doing ADUs because we were thinking about investing out of state.
That's right.
And then because of the ADU laws, which we only really knew about in the residential world, and then found out when we were looking at apartment buildings that you could do them on apartment buildings as well. So that's kind of how we came into it, right?
Yep.
So why else would you say? What's the big picture and why are ADUs such an important opportunity for people to utilize, whether it's in their residential home or their duplex, triplex, fourplex, or in commercial multifamily apartment buildings? Let's hear it.
Well, number one, California, 2 to 3 million new housing units needed. We are undersupplied. Okay. And in order for us investors to build these ADUs, developers, or to build, California had to streamline it because, as you know, and I know, building in California is very hard. And there is so much red tape to get through. So the state now, that their laws override most local restrictions, and they've relaxed, parking requirements. You used to be able to, or if you built before you wanted to build another unit on your property, okay, cool, you need to add 2 more parking spots. Well, that's not feasible. So that's why they have those laws in place. So now they've reduced that. And if you're located within a certain distance from
Yeah. And what
public
is that
transport,
distance? Half mile, right?
it's a half mile. So if you're within a half mile of public transportation, no parking requirements. And they've also reduced setbacks, and approvals are much faster now.
Well, and I think too in residential, it was that when you had a single family zoning, which there is no longer any single family zoning, they wiped that away in the whole state of California, that you weren't allowed to build another unit because you had the single family zoning. And so that's where it came into residential. And it's interesting because a lot of people don't know that you can add ADUs to apartment buildings.
Right.
They just know and are worried that everyone's going to turn their houses into, multi-units, and it's going to destroy their neighborhoods, which they don't understand too, that you have to be within a half a mile of a bus stop or else you can't do it. So I think it's definitely it's huge for us, and I think it's huge for residential. So, all right. So we bought our first apartment building 2021, and these laws came out, I believe, in 2020 when the ADU laws came out so that you are allowed to build these accessory dwelling units on your properties. So, how have we made ADUs a big part of our business?
So, like you said in the beginning, we weren't looking at deals to build additional dwelling units. Like you said, we were focused on what our mentor was teaching us, going out of state and, looking for higher cash flow deals. And, we started to analyze deals with adding ADUs in them. I mean, think about California, some of the most expensive real estate in the country. So if you can add an additional unit to your property, and whether it's a single family, whether it's a multifamily, I mean, this is the time because the ADU laws they're not going to be here forever, right? We're eventually going to catch up,
Right.
and it's going to go back to the old place. So in regards to your question, like why are we doing it in our business? Because we found the model that works. You can build these units that you couldn't build before in some of the most expensive real estate in the country. The returns are magnificent. So that's
Yeah.
why we did it.
And I think that too, the reason that the ADU laws came about was because we also needed affordable
Yeah.
housing, and ADUs, because they're not a 5,000 square foot, unit that you're putting on your house. It's a smaller unit. In the beginning, it was supposed to be like it had to be half the size of your single family home. And then you could do a junior ADU if that was your primary, where you could convert the garage. And those were like the first laws I remember, because remember, we were going to buy that house and add an ADU. And then we thought we could add the junior ADU by converting the garage on Warwick.
Mhm.
And then we found out that it has to be your primary home in order to add that third unit in the very beginning. This is back in 2020.
Yeah.
So I think that that's why they really came about and allowed for this, is because they want there to be an influx of smaller units, and why developers don't build smaller units, right? So when you're going to build an apartment building, you're not going
Yep.
to go and build, a bunch of studios or one bedroom, one baths, because the cost to build is higher than building a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, right? Because the extra square footage is just walls and flooring. Whereas when you add bedrooms, like bathrooms and kitchens, those are your most expensive parts of building,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So there wasn't really, developers were like, well, why would I want to build a building with all these smaller units that would be considered more affordable because they're smaller, so then their rents are lower. And so that's where I feel like they saw, if we allow this on people's homes, then people will build these smaller units, thus creating more inventory of the smaller units. Which is great, because you also have a lot of people where they were complaining like, "Oh, my kid just got out of college and they can't afford to move back home." Well, now you can have this accessory dwelling unit and they can live in that, and then even as people age, they can bring in their aging parents, so it allowed for more multi-generational, and I think the living together.
Yep.
So I think they saw that as well with it. And it's just so great that it transferred over into multifamily, because you already have all of these apartment buildings, and now to add extra units, I mean, you can't do that generally in other states. So this is huge, a huge play. I did hear, I think in Arizona, that they're allowed to do it. So, all right. So let's talk about our first
Mm.
ADU process. So we bought a 6 unit in Santa Paula, and an interesting property, as it's not they're not actually attached. They're 6 tiny homes is what
Yep.
I would call them. They were built in, like, 1950 something, we don't actually really even know, and they were built like 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and it must have been probably from the war era, people coming back and giving them little housing to move
100%.
into
Yeah.
so that then they could, raise their families and what have you, and Santa Paula back then was actually one of the wealthiest cities in Ventura County because of the oil and agricultural, uh, industries that it had there. So, we buy this random property that is technically considered multifamily because it's over 5 units and above,
Yep.
but yet it's not connected, and then we decide to tear down the garage and build an ADU, and let's talk about that whole process and how that went.
Yeah. I mean, that was the play, though. That was the plan. We're gonna buy
Yes.
this slumlord, dilapidated
Oh, it was the worst.
property,
It was scary.
and there was this garage. I guess you can call it a garage in the back. It was 1,200 square feet, and it was really just storage at this point, and it was like a barn kinda style with
Yeah, like full wood. It was
and
not
metal
usable.
metal siding,
Yeah.
metal roof. I mean, it was ready to come down,
Yeah, looked like it was
and
gonna fall over at any moment.
so, we looked at it and we're like, "We can build something here." So, the first thing that you need to do is, which we have done. I mean, we have someone that is our ADU specialist. So when we're gonna look at a property, right, we're looking at it, analyzing it, and this is part of it. So we will send it to our guy Salvador,
Yep.
who specializes in ADUs. Hey, Salvador, this is the property. This guy's well versed in ADUs. He's a specialist,
Yeah.
and that's one thing that our listeners would need to do is find someone that is your go-to guy,
Yeah.
right? So
Especially yeah, for their area.
exactly. I mean, because then that's one. I mean, we can get into a lot of stuff, but every city is different, right? I mean, everybody has the ADU laws, but every city has their own ordinances, or some of them do. So you need to be mindful of that. But yeah, so when we sent it to Salvador, he's like, "Oh yeah, you can convert this into a it's 1,200 square feet. We'll do a duplex, 600 square feet on each side, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and the total cost for us to build that was $280,000.
Does that include the laundry room that we added onto it as well?
That includes
The 280?
yeah,
Okay,
that
'cause so and it was actually 1,400 square foot total,
right,
right?
yeah,
Each unit was 600,
mhm,
and then the laundry room was 200 square feet.
right.
So, that's a pretty good price per square foot building cost.
That one, I it
I mean,
was
do we need to talk to your dad? Because I feel like that was, like, really affordable, and all of a
I know,
sudden, these
and
are
all
a
of a
little
sudden
more
they keep going
expensive.
up.
Yeah, I thought, like, as you gave someone more business, you should be getting better
Yeah.
deals.
Yeah, and that's the thing is one thing is important is everyone's different.
Yeah,
Sometimes you have to attach the sewer 10 feet away, sometimes it's 100, bringing in utilities, everything. There's so many parts that go into it, and that's one thing that I would, say to people that are looking to do it is do your due diligence. So let's back up to what I was saying is so 2000 or 280,000. Now we get 2,400 a month in rent for each unit.
each unit, yeah,
Okay, so now we're at
and we're
4,800.
making, like, $600 a month off the laundry there.
So I didn't even calculate that, but 4,800 for new income. Okay, and cap rates in Santa Paula, let's just give it a 5 right now. It's 5.5.
That's generous. I would say a 6.
Okay. My math that I've already kind of done is 5. Okay, so
So
value,
we'll stick with that.
yeah, unless you want to just add it up in your head right now.
I mean, I can do it on the
Okay.
spot if you really want me to.
Okay, do it. 4,800 at 6% cap
But
rate.
if you're doing the cap rate, you also have to take out the expenses. So
Yep.
4,800 a month in rent gross, right? We times it by 70%, so we're allocating 30% to expenses. So then 3,360 is left over a month times 12. So 40,320 divided by a 5 cap, which is point zero.
Thought you said 6.
Oh, yeah, I prefer a 6. So $672,000 worth of value after expenses, everything like that was created out of $280,000 expense. And that didn't even actually include the income from the laundry.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, just one example of you spend $280,000, we doubled the value of this property for us and our investors. So, that was the first one, and that's why we kept that's our model now. We're buying multifamily properties, value add through ADUs and renovations, increase the NOI, and that's how we're playing the game.
Well, and let's talk about that because back then you could only build, wasn't it a two units freestanding?
Yeah.
So, well, and then you can convert up to 25% of of space. So if
Yep.
you have garages, carports, what have you. But then the laws changed this year.
Yep.
And now if you have room with setbacks, you can build up to 8 ADUs freestanding and still do the 25% of converting already existing space.
Right.
So carports, garages, what have
Yeah.
you. And when I say 25%, I mean of the total unit. So if you're buying a 20 unit, then you can build another, 4 units, basically, 5 units.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So then you can build 13 units on a 20-unit building, technically, if you had the garage or carport space to convert, plus you had room to put on another 8 units freestanding. And those 8 units don't have to all be connected.
Correct.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's huge.
And that just came out in 2025. So think about that. As we're going through this, the ADU laws are getting more in favor for the investors, for the developers, and it's not going away anytime soon. Is
No.
what that is telling me.
There's no way it's going away because COVID hit and caused such an issue with building. We're so far behind on building nationwide. California is leading the charge with allowing for all these ADUs. And yeah, I mean, you're not going, and even right now, they're saying because of interest rates that larger projects that are building are having delayed starts because they're waiting for interest rates to go down because building costs are so high.
Yep.
So it's yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's here to stay for a long time, and that's really why we purchase here in our backyard and purchase in California.
Yep.
Because you can make a 20 unit technically a 33 unit, which is insane, and you get the rents here, California rents, instead of, oh, I bought, in Idaho or Utah or what have you, and their rents are so much less expensive.
Right.
And then even still, you get so much more rent appreciation here than you get in the other states.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a huge play. I mean, I don't know why anyone doesn't buy in California, but we don't want you to, so it's okay.
Yeah, stay out of California, please.
All right, so let's talk about let's talk about the scenario that we just had with my client having their tenant want to buy their single family home. And
that's right.
they're deciding, okay, I'm going to sell this single family home.
Yeah.
And we convince them to buy a duplex and convert the two-car garages, so 800 square feet, into a third unit. So let's talk about that. That was your buddy.
Yeah. So what a great play.
Yeah.
And anybody listening that owns a single family home as a rental and you want to increase your net worth, you want to build yourself a better retirement plan, think about this. This guy used to have a single family home in Ojai, California, which he wasn't making anything on the property, maybe $100 a month.
Yeah, he did do a 15-year mortgage, so he was accelerating that, so a little bit higher cost. But yeah, overall, with the repairs and different things he had to do, he really wasn't making any sort of cash flow off of it.
Yeah. So no cash flow coming in, right? Yeah, you're paying off the mortgage and this and that. So he sells his single family home, and we had already found so we start looking for, because we get deals sent to us all the time, right? Smaller deals we're not looking for anymore. But so this duplex comes up in Ventura.
Great part of Ventura. Right by Cemetery Park.
Yep. And this has, the location's amazing. So what it was a duplex, and underneath there was garages underneath the duplex. And we looked at it, and we thought, oh my gosh, we can add another unit and make this into a triplex,
Mhm.
right? So, you were the one that ran the numbers for him. So you sell
Right.
this, you can buy this, and this is how much it's going to cost for you to add the ADU. And when you're all done, you can do
He'll
this
be cash
refine.
flowing about $45,000 a
Yeah.
year rather than 0. And he 1031 exchanged too. So the money he made from that single family home, because he had purchased it a while ago, he then put into he just 1031 exchanged it, so paid no taxes on his gain and then bought that duplex. I mean, it's huge to make $45,000 a year once that third ADU is done.
Isn't that, I mean, that's
Like, why
magical.
I mean, wouldn't you rather make 45 grand than make nothing and just pay off
Yeah.
this house? And then I mean, you're paying it off fast, and so eventually you're gonna have cash flow, but then you also don't have that write-off against it. So, you have your tenants paying your mortgage
Yep.
plus cash flow,
Yeah.
which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And you just made a unit that is gonna be rented for $2,800 a month versus, you know, basically nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
he's still cash flowing right now off of the 2 units
Yeah.
while the third's being built.
Yeah. That play is something that anybody listening that has a unit like that, single family, and you want to transition into it, it's such a great way. And here's what's going to happen. That's not going to be his last one. So now he's got a triplex.
Yep.
He's going to sit in it for 5 years. Then he's going to do a refinance.
Yep.
And he's going to take out 500 grand, and he's going to buy another one.
Yeah.
And now he's got 6 units instead of that one single family home. So it gives him, and now he's got the confidence to go out there and do it himself.
Right.
And build his portfolio. I'm love to see where he ends up and how many units, and that's what it is. It's just getting started.
Yes.
It really is. Like,
Yes.
it's getting started. Take the leap, take a little risk, calculated risk, but it's going to pay off in the end.
Well, and this is what I feel like so a lot of people, they'll keep their first property that they bought, right?
Yeah.
So they'll keep their condo that they first bought or their first home, and they keep that as a rental property. But the problem is you didn't buy it as a rental property. So you may be making a little bit of money because real estate has appreciated, but you're not really maximizing the equity in that property. So they do that because it's comfortable, right? But really, it's you want to convert that into and that equity that's sitting in there, because a lot of people before COVID, I mean, real estate prices went up for single family basically 40% through COVID. So you bought that before COVID and now you've got 40% equity sitting in it. It's like, but you're making less than, most of them, when I calculate it, they're making a 3 to 4% return on that equity with the rents they're getting. And it's just sitting in there and they're not tapping into it.
Another thing, what if you didn't want to sell you have $800,000
Then you do
sitting in equity?
You could do either a fixed second loan, right?
Right.
Like a lot of the credit unions are bringing back going up to $500,000. You could also do a HELOC, which is a home equity line. That is variable and does, fluctuate with the interest rate fluctuates. But yeah, you don't have to sell it. You could just take out the equity and purchase something else. And then that property, as long as that property is paying the rent for it or your new multi-unit is going to pay that new payment for you, then it makes sense. So I get a lot of people who come to me and they're like, I want to buy a single family home.
Yep.
And I want to add an ADU.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to them, that's one of the most competitive real estate markets, is to buy a single family home, because you're then competing with all the primary homeowners.
Right.
Right? So it's like, instead of buying a single family home, if you go and try and buy a 2 to 4 unit, which is still residential financing, and you can still purchase it with, depending on the price range, 20 to 25% down, you can purchase it as a primary and live in one of the units for a year and then rent that out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the best interest rate possible. And that's where I try to tell. And we did that with another one of your buddies, where from the fire department, he wanted to buy his first home. And he wanted to buy a single family home and add an ADU, which is a great idea if you already own a single family home. But if you're trying to purchase, it can be very competitive. So I'm always like, barely anybody's putting bids on these 2 to 4 units. I mean, you might go up against some of them just sit there. I mean, the 6 unit we bought for 1.2 million that we then made the 8 unit was sitting on the market for 60 days.
Mhm.
So that's where I always say is go for those lower units instead of trying to buy a single family home and add that ADU. It's so much less competitive. So he ended up buying that for, I think about it around 600,000, 650, and is converting the carports in the back to make it a 4 unit because it's 3 units already. And he'll be cash flowing. It was like 55,000 once he converts that carport, and I was like, "This is amazing." Off of something that you bought for
What
650,000.
do you have to put down for that?
He ended up, because he bought it as a primary,
Yeah.
moving in one of the units for a year, he put down 20%.
Okay. So you put down
20%.
20%. You finance the ADU, correct?
The ADU, he's not financing, but I mean, if you put down 20%, you can't finance the ADU. You have to have cash for the ADU.
Mhm.
Unless you remodel the other units, get the rents up, and then do a cash out refi, which you could do.
Okay.
That's basically what we did on those 6 units.
Yeah.
We remodeled the 6 units, we got a new loan, cashed out, and then got the money for the ADU, and then we did a very small private loan,
Right.
for a portion of the construction.
So there's ways out there to
Yeah.
get creative and, buy your first multifamily property.
Yes. So, okay, but let's talk about, so you already own a single family home,
Yeah.
okay? And you wanna add an ADU. What is that process?
So I'm not a, single family ADU specialist by any means, but I do know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
So, you need to, like, look at the lot, right? Is the backyard big enough? The side yard, the state allows you to build up to 2 ADUs on most single family lots, and then in some cases, there's some new laws where you can subdivide and add more. Um, Parking, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but, if you're within a half mile of public transit, which it's funny, most properties that we've looked at have all been within a half mile of public transit.
Yeah, unless I would say, like, our neighborhood that we live in,
Yeah,
like, if you live in a more, our neighborhood's more of, like, was originally horse properties, then you're gonna have an issue being a
yeah,
half a mile. But if you're in, like, kind of a standard track home neighborhood that is on, like, closer to main thoroughfares, I feel like you're probably within a half a mile to the closest bus stop, so then you would be able to convert
right, and then
convert your garage or add an ADU.
yeah, converting, you wanna look at what, the setback requirements are, and they're not as big as you think. I mean, it's like 4 feet from the side, 6 feet from the rear.
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking. And is that a state guideline?
that's
Yeah,
the
that's a
state,
state guideline.
yeah, state
So
guidelines.
4 feet on the
Yeah,
sides and then 6 feet from the back.
from the rear, right.
Hmm, okay.
So, it is, it's something that, many people can do and that they don't know,
Yeah,
but it's really just doing your research on, and again, I'm gonna go back to the specific cities because if the city has an ordinance, um, they can have some additional requirements.
right.
So you always wanna do your homework, because we're building in Santa Paula, we're building in TO. They both have their own, guidelines that, we have to follow. But overall, it's all based on what the state guidelines are.
Right, and you can push back on them on certain things.
Yes, which we have, right.
Right, like, you often have to get
Mhm.
your state guy, your state contact
Yep.
involved and say, "Sorry, no, you can't
Yeah.
enforce that."
So, yeah, if you're looking to add it to your, single family or you're gonna be buying a single family and you want to, have an additional rental unit on it, my recommendation is get yourself an ADU specialist they're all over,
Yeah, I
and
mean, you see signs all
yeah,
over when you
and
drive around.
before you write your offer, just do your due diligence, do your homework,
Yeah.
because you don't wanna get in a scenario where you can't build it.
What would you say, so say it's just like an average lot flat, what would you say someone should anticipate for a building price per square foot?
I use $350 a square foot.
That seems pretty low.
So, yeah. It is.
So that seems pretty
Yeah.
affordable for someone to do. So if you wanna build a 1,000 unit, which a
1,000
1,000
square
square feet
yeah.
unit, you can make that into a 3-bedroom, a
Mhm.
2-bedroom, depending on how big you want your
Yeah.
bedrooms to be. And then that's only $350,000.
Yeah. I use 300 for the build and then the build cost, but then I use $50 for all the fees. And that's one thing you wanna be, mindful of too is, it's not just the building. You have, fees that you're gonna be associated with, and if you go above the 749,
Square feet,
you're gonna start getting into
impact fees.
impact fees,
Yep.
okay? And we fought this battle, because we converted a 1,200 square foot garage,
Mhm.
and we made it into a duplex. The city says, "Well, that was 1,200 square feet, so you're over the 749." And I was gonna
Yeah,
eat it,
yeah.
but then I was like, "No, let's look into that." Emailed the state, California. Guy gets back to me. He goes, "That's incorrect." He goes, "Because it's 2 single units."
Yep.
So they're actually both 600 square feet. So, went back to the city with that information. It's as simple as that. And the city goes, "Okay, yeah, we were incorrect." So that saved us $14,000, just in impact fees because
Yeah.
it was 7 grand per unit. So save that. So once you get into that impact fees, you got to start thinking about every city's different. You're gonna
Yes.
have school fees. You're gonna have
Park and rec
park and rec
fees,
fees.
if they have a separate, yep. You
Everybody
have
wants to
city
get
fee,
their,
yep.
but I would say this, one thing I did learn is that it's not as expensive as I anticipated,
Yeah, I mean,
you
I
know?
think we thought that we wouldn't be building at 300 a
Yeah.
square foot at all,
Mhm.
and then 50. So we just always, and when I'm underwriting, I'm always underwriting at 350 a square
Yeah.
foot, and then that's what I'm kind of juggling with is like, okay, well, how much is this unit gonna cost us to build, and what can I rent it for? And that's how I decide what size unit makes
Mhm.
sense, because it doesn't always make sense to build the biggest unit that
Yeah.
you can build. Um, it sometimes makes sense to build it a little smaller. Um, so I think we went over how you're using ADUs in multifamily.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about, which Danny, like, I swear some days he looks like he's like ready to just like quit this all and go back to the fire station and just save lives instead of trying to build units. Let's talk about the challenges
Yeah.
of ADUs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they are I'll tell you one thing, the reason not everybody's doing it is because it's not easy. There is a lot of stress, a lot of back and forth, a lot of negotiating, um, but some of let's start with the the key to having your unit, get approved quickly.
Well, yeah, and talk about that, because 'cause I'm always like, "Well, you just met with building and safety, so, like, aren't we good?" They said
Yeah,
that, and you're like, "No,
yeah,
Marissa, no, we're not.
yeah,
There's all these other things I have to go through,"
yeah,
and you're like,
yeah,
so I think you should go through the different departments, or I guess they're not all departments because the fire department's not a
yeah,
department of it, but yeah.
yeah, so you need to go through planning, okay? So planning will tell you, "Yes, you can build this, ADU here. Yes, you're within the guidelines. It meets the landscape requirements." So planning is your first hurdle.
Okay.
I'm gonna call them all hurdles because they are, okay?
I
So
know, I'm like, "Oh, we're
yeah,
approved from planning, so, like, we're doing these ADUs," and you're
yeah.
like, "No." I'm
But
like,
once you get through
"Okay."
planning, you're you know that you can build this. Now you just gotta get through all the other hoops of all the other departments. So then building and safety, gets involved. Building and safety is gonna the all your structural engineering, all your, framing, foundation, all the plumbing plan, electrical plans. That's what building and safety is going through.
So every ADU you have to have a structural engineer on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you have your architect who does your plans,
Mhm.
And then you have your structural engineer who tells you basically the load of everything, depending if it's
Yeah.
raised foundation, which you've done a couple of, or slab, which you've done as well.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Then you got to deal with public works. So public works is more going to be about like the sewer system, your water, is your meter that you have big enough? Do you have to redo a meter? Oh, are you going to add sprinklers? Okay, well, if you're going to add sprinklers, we need a direct line to the street, and that can get costly, right?
Yeah,
So,
I remember you were dealing that with Harvard,
uh,
that we were gonna have to sprinkler it.
right, and well, yeah, and Yale, right? So originally
Yeah.
they told us we had to add sprinklers, and that was another one. I went back to the state and got that taken off.
So the state says that you don't have to add sprinklers to
No,
ADUs,
yeah,
or I'm
yeah,
maybe?
it depends on, okay, the reason that I've had to do sprinklers on a building is fire, and that's the next person, fire department. So,
Which one did you do sprinklers on?
Acacia was one that we were gonna have to do sprinklers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But we didn't end up building those
Right,
ADUs
so we
yet.
have that approved, but
Okay.
anyway, so the reason that I didn't have to build or put sprinklers on Yale Street
Yeah.
is because it was located close enough to a fire hydrant.
Oh, okay, so if you're within a certain distance from a fire hydrant, you don't have to do sprinklers.
Yeah, and just know every fire department's different. So
They all can make up their own rules,
they all have their own guidelines and that they follow.
but is the state allowed, is there, like, regulations that the state says, "No, you can't enforce that on
There
them"?
Like, I'm dealing with one fire department right now, and our driveway doesn't meet the width of what they require, but that's when the state jumps in and says, "Well, does this really create a extreme life safety hazard by not having the driveway wide enough?" And the state's, you know, and the fire department are like, "No, it doesn't create that." So, for example, with the fire department we're dealing with now, if you're over 250 feet from a fire hydrant, which Acacia was, now we got to add sprinklers to that building.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
seems like
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of
Yeah.
the guideline for
Right.
most of them, or
At least,
what you've been running into.
right. So, though, that's an example of the departments that you're going to deal with. And one thing that I will,
So wait, after fire department, then you're good?
yeah, those
So it's planning, building and safety, and then fire department. Oh, public works and fire department.
Yeah.
And then what happens next?
And then once all the departments approve and sign off, then you go and you pay for your permits and you get the blessing to build.
So you are that close on the Thousand Oaks property
No.
then? Why? See, that's confusing.
We haven't got approved by anybody.
Oh, I thought you met with everyone and fire department was last, and so then you had that hurdle.
No.
Oh, so you haven't even,
We just submitted to planning,
Uh-huh.
and fire department had
Comments in the planning phase.
correct.
So, okay, interesting. I thought it, like, would go in order. It doesn't.
No.
They can all comment at the same time.
Depends on the city. Everyone's different.
Okay. But then technically you could get approval from everybody at the same time.
Yeah, but it wouldn't. No, you couldn't, because it doesn't go like that.
But they're not, are they all giving their comments in the planning stage?
No.
Okay. That's very confusing.
Yep.
Wow. Wow. See?
Yeah,
This is
so
like
Thousand Oaks different. They go through planning first, and they
Okay.
don't send it to anybody else. And then they go planning, if you send all your stuff. Fire department's obviously part of planning with
Yeah.
TO. So once you get through that, then they'll go, okay, now we'll go to building safety. Now we'll go to public works. City of Santa Paula,
Yeah.
you go to all of them at once, and they all send back their comments, and then you respond, send them back, respond. So
What about Oxnard?
Oxnard, yeah, you send it, and it goes to all the departments at once.
So only Thousand Oaks.
That's the first time it's just been planning first. Yeah.
Interesting.
So one lesson that I learned is with Yale Street, our first one, I just sat back a little. I didn't just sit back. I didn't get as involved as I should have. I would hit the architect up, "Hey, what's going on?" He would respond, "Oh, we're doing this." Okay. What I learned is that you have to be the liaison between the city and the architect. The
Okay.
city is very busy. You're
Yeah.
not the only one building an
No.
ADU,
No.
and they have all these other things going on.
Yeah.
Your architect,
Is busy.
he's not,
Hopefully.
you're not his only client. If you're his only client, you might wanna look for another architect,
Yeah.
okay? So, that one took me over a year to get permits because I kinda sat back and let the architect do it. Now fast forward to Main Street.
Harvard.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about Main Street.
Okay.
So Main Street,
Was a garage conversion.
yeah, and I was the liaison. And what I noticed is sometimes you gotta go the city, we send corrections, and they miss that we sent the corrections. So I would check in, "Hey, did you guys get the corrections we sent?" I'll check in the next week. "Oh, yeah, we got them." Sometimes I would wait 2 weeks, and I've noticed that they haven't gotten to it, and sometimes they forget. So you could literally be sending in your corrections, and then
No one's looking at it.
3 weeks go by and nothing happens. I mean, I mean, time is money.
Yeah.
For us,
Well, yeah, because we're in a bridge loan.
we're in bridge debt, so we're trying to get out of this thing as fast as we can,
Yeah.
right? So you need to be the liaison, and sometimes the architect, you gotta stay on them all the time. "Hey," and that's what I'm doing now. We get our corrections, he reviews them, I go, "Okay, how long is this gonna take you? 2 weeks? Okay, cool, 2 weeks, I'm gonna check in." We learned that if we don't set those guidelines, even with the architect, they just start doing their work, and then, 3 weeks goes by, 4 weeks goes by.
Yeah.
"Hey, what's up?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, we're finishing it."
Yeah.
So you really have to stay on everybody.
So really you should
And I
check
got
in
that
with
one
them.
I got that Main Street done in 6 months.
And Harvard was fast.
Harvard was 8 months,
Yeah,
and that
compared
was
to
6 ADUs.
yeah, 6
Yeah.
ADUs because Yale
Mhm.
was a year and change.
Yep. Yep.
So you cut it,
Yeah.
like, in half with both
Yeah.
of those by
And then this is the big one, and another learning lesson on Yale Street, Edison. Edison,
yeah.
our property was done, and we had to wait. I mean, fully done, ready to be rented, but we couldn't rent because we didn't have power. We had to wait a month and a half for Edison.
Yeah, to
So
finish it.
fast forward to Harvard. Now we talk about Harvard. I was on him the whole time. So, hey, now I'm the liaison between my general contractor, my electrician, and Edison. Okay. And you build that relationship with Edison. There's a guy that's dedicated to ADUs in your city, and be friends with him. Be nice to him because he controls a lot. You can't just go, "Oh, you know what, Edison? I'm going to go use someone else," because there's
There's
nobody
no
else.
one else.
It's a monopoly. Okay. So
Yeah.
be cool with Edison, and they are cool. They are.
Yeah.
You just got to stay on them. They're so busy. They are so overworked. They are so understaffed, especially when these fires get ripping.
Yeah.
You're on the low priority. Like, "Oh, you're building an ADU? Well, sorry, I'm trying to get power to these 40,000 people that lost, power." So
Yeah.
that was a big lesson. In Harvard, we did not wait any time for it. We were
No.
on it.
And they had the right addresses.
Yeah.
I just got the addresses corrected on Edison
Yeah.
for Yale.
How long did that take? A year.
From when it was first submitted, yeah.
Yeah.
To get the addresses correct on the billing so that when the tenants would call, they could say their legal address to get their utilities turned on instead of the wrong address.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it's crazy.
I'll say one more thing about Edison is you gotta find out and do a meeting before. Okay, before you purchase the property, or I do it while I'm in escrow, and I meet with Edison. I go, "Hey, what are we gonna have to do here?" Because that cost can get really large.
Yeah.
Because most of the time you're gonna have to go underground. If you're above ground and you're adding, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units, they're gonna make you go underground. So you need to know, how long is that trench gonna be? Oh, you got to go in the street. Okay. that's another cost.
Well, that's a big deal
That's a
to
big
go
deal.
into the city.
Yeah.
To the city street.
Yeah.
They don't like that.
Right.
Same with
So
sewer costs.
yeah.
Yeah.
So those are big ticket items that can get you. So you need to make sure you're doing that due diligence beforehand, right? And if you don't know what you're doing, like hire someone that does, right? Hire a general contractor who's done ADUs
Yeah.
and knows the guidelines and
So
knows.
do you have to deal with Edison on carport and garage conversions?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You got to add panels to that.
But Main Street.
Yep. We
So
had to add a panel.
you had to add a panel, but
Mhm.
you didn't have to like drop a new line or anything, did
Yeah.
you?
You drop a new line to that panel. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
haven't asked you about. And
Yeah. Yeah. And you wonder why I'm so stressed.
I mean, I don't know why we don't talk about this at dinner more. This is such a sexy conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, those are, I would say those are the big lessons. And then the last one would be give yourself some padding.
Yeah.
Give yourself, a good 10 to 15% padding on the overall cost, because, if you're a syndicator, you're not going to want to go back to your investors and do a capital call, or you're just a lone investor and you're going to mom and dad, hey, can I borrow, 100 grand to finish this? So do your due diligence, have a pad. And I'm not trying to scare anyone, because we've done it and we've stayed on budget. You can do it,
Yeah.
right? Just do your homework.
All right. So we're going to go to our final 5
Mm.
for this. You usually get to ask these questions, and now I get to ask it. So this is final 5 ADU edition, okay? We're going to do rapid fire.
Okay.
Don't be too wordy in your answers.
Okay. It's not, I'm not asking you the question, so we don't have to worry about that.
All right. Mindset shift about ADUs.
Mindset shift about it. So they are not a side project. They can be the main driver of this property's value when you're converting.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
good. Okay. Law that changed that helped you out the most.
Law that 100% parking requirements, relaxation. Like when they relax the parking requirements, that opens the floodgates, because trying to figure out a parking spot, and if you don't have any, you can't.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that really opened it up.
Okay. Best return from an ADU project.
It's turning that old shed into a duplex. I mean,
Yeah.
we did the math on that.
Yeah, it's huge. Advice for someone who's hesitating building an ADU.
Don't wait until you feel you're ready. The rules are in your favor now. Go.
Yeah, for sure. Personal growth lesson through ADUs.
Personal growth lesson through ADUs. After every day, go and stack your 3 wins for the day and celebrate them, because there's a lot of things that come up that are negative, and we forget to celebrate how far we've come.
Yeah, and
And
how
that-
frustrating things can be.
Yeah. And so stack the wins.
Yeah.
And celebrate them.
And little wins. They don't have to be huge wins. They
No.
can be little wins.
It could be that you sent the email to planning and she replied, or
Yeah, you
You-
submitted corrections, like
Yeah.
whatever it is. But yeah,
yeah, because
sure.
it can get daunting and it can get overwhelming. But you just do the best you can every day and
Yeah.
go through.
And look, you become an ADU master. Thank
Yeah.
you. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for being on our show today. I appreciate your time, sir.
Yes.
And I hope to see you here again on Ladders and Leverage.
Thank you.
Thank you.